All right, so this is really your last podcast on naming, and this is acids. So acid formulas always begin with hydrogen. Okay, so if you have some compound that begins with H, it is an acid. All right, maybe the only exception might be water, H2O, but really water is part acid and part base. So acids always have an H component, bases typically have an OH component. So water could be written like this, HOH, because it's equal parts acid and base. But with the non-rule of water, exception of water, if something starts with an H, it's an acid. So under the next little sentence, if two types of elements are present, begin the name with the prefix hydro. All right. Followed by the root of the anion. So chlorine, bromine, fluorine, just the root of it. So chlor, fluor, bro, carbon, something like that. And then add the suffix ic. So I-C with the word acid. Okay? So in this first one we have H with Cl. So that's two elements. So I'm going to start with hydro. All right. And then chlorine, its root is really just chlor. And I'm going to change the ene to an ic, and then add the word acid, and we have hydrochloric acid. Okay, HCl. Next one, I have H and S. So yes, there's three actual atoms, but it's made of two elements. So I'm going to start it with hydro. So hydro. And then sulfur. So there's not really a root there, it's just sulfur. Ic, hydrosulfuric acid. And then our last one, HBr, this is kind of fun, hydro. And then just like chlorine, we have brome. So hydrobromic acid. All right, and that's how you name binary acids. Okay, so kind of think binary again. And then the other type is ternary. So, second part of your notes, if we have three types of elements present, there's a polyatomic ion hidden in there somewhere. So do not use the prefix hydro. So it gets no prefix if there's a polyatomic ion. Naming begins with the root of the polyatomic ion. So this is another reason you have to have the polyatomic ions memorized. If the polyatomic ion ends in ate, so nitrate, sulfate, carbonate, anything like that, then the root will end in the suffix ic. However, if the polyatomic ion ends in ite, so nitrite, sulfite, then the root will end in the suffix us, which is just O-U-S. And in both cases, they're followed by the word acid. Okay? So on this first one, H2SO4, we have three elements. We're not using the prefix hydro. We're just jumping right in with sulfuric acid. And sulfuric acid is a very, very different acid than hydrosulfuric acid above it. Okay, so they're named differently because they're completely different compounds. Next one, notice we have SO3 as opposed to SO4, and SO3 is sulfite, so it will be sulfurous acid. So we're still keeping the root, but just the ending will change from ic to us if it's the polyatomic ite to ate, or ate to ite. So again, ites become ics, and ites, or ates become ics, ites become us. Next one, nitrate. So this is just going to become nitric acid. And our last example is what? Carbonate. So on this one, kind of just see what sounds right to you. Again, I'm not going to count off if you use the proper rule. So this is carbonate. So carbonate. Carbonate. We're going to change the ate to ic, so carbonic acid. And carbonic acid is pretty much in sodas. It's what gives the fizz, the carbonation is carbonic acid. Okay? So again, ate ending polyatomic ions become ic ending acids, whereas ite ending polyatomic ions become us ending acids. And if there's not a polyatomic ion, you're going to start your acid name with hydro.